Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome back to another episode of Shabby Talk. We are back, of course, with PJ Tovey.
How you doing?
And today we're going to be talking about the current battle between Raw and Smackdown, because it's been quite apparent over the last few weeks that it seems like Raw is declining in the ratings, while Smackdown, even with Jinder Mahal as the champion, seems to be getting higher in the ratings, which I think is an interesting one. Obviously, Smackdown has always been known as the B show, but now I think they're slowly taking over. Apart, of course, from the original draft when they were the A show for a while, weren't they?
Oh, of course they were. 2002 to 2004, when Paul Heyman was writing the show, it was on fire. Rey Mysterio made his debut on Smackdown. They were prominent with the Cruiserweight division, although it ended very badly with Hornswoggle.
God, yeah.
The women's division was strong with Tori and Sable. I think it wasn't the case of... I think the women on Raw could wrestle. However, the women on Smackdown were more your image, as far as they couldn't really wrestle. They just looked really, really good. And the main... I think it was Kurt Angle and Lesnar carrying the show during that time. It was just very strong.
You just look at that main event, and that was Lesnar working every week, not like 4 times a year.
No, when he actually abided by a contract like everyone else had.
Yeah, and I think, well, there's a lot of things that I think SmackDown do better than Raw at the moment. I think there's a lot of reason why they're doing better in the rankings, and like we said with the Jinder situation recently, the land of opportunity. You don't know when you're going to watch an episode of SmackDown. You don't know what's going to happen when you go into Raw. You seem to know every single match. Well, that's a job match. That's a job match. They're working towards the pay-per-view. SmackDown just seems to throw a spanner in the works all the time.
I think it's the old age argument of Raw's too long. That extra hour is killing Raw. Because they have to make the quarterlies for the ratings.
Yeah.
So watching NXT is 1 hour. Watching SmackDown is 2 hours. Now you've got to get the viewers' attention for 3 solid hours. And in America, the way that they have their advertisements is... It's very hard to watch. I wouldn't be able to watch it live. If you have a TiVo box in America, or for us we use Sky, we have to rely on recording because we could not watch it live. The amount of advertisements we get here.
No, I did one. I watched the Raw after Mania. The first time I watched Raw live, I think, ever. And it absolutely killed me. Literally, there was about 8 commercial breaks in the first 50 minutes. And I'm like, this is terrible. This is not how UK TV work. I think it's a little bit different over in America, but UK TV, we normally have 1 commercial break about 3 minutes every 15 minutes.
Yes.
And this Raw was literally... The thing is, I remember one part where they said after the break is going to be this match. So they came back from the break, we saw both entrances, and they said, right after the break, they'll start wrestling. Is that what
I think also with the SmackDown is that the commentary team was different. This was whilst Mauro Rolano was still employed.
Yeah.
I know that Tom Phillips has taken over the seat, which was probably the only man
He's doing a pretty decent job, actually.
You know, he was good. He's been good in NXT, been good as a backstage interviewer. He was the only man who could really fill the boots of Mauro Rolano.
JB hasn't bullied him over.
No, he's not going to bully him. I mean, I think they've been smart with Jim Ross in the way that they've brought him back in, primarily to be on the UK tournament. He might have some network specials coming up.
He's doing the women's tournament as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing the women's tournament, the Mae Young Classic.
Allegedly, he's going to be commentating again with Lita, apparently.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's been confirmed yet, but I saw rumours that today.
That should be different.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So they could have easily just called him back up and said, look, we know you had a SmackDown run before. It didn't really go well. However, look, we need you back because we've lost someone with a lot of publicity and it's not good attention for the company. We need an old face, an old hand who can come in and do this live show, not taped, live.
Yeah.
So it was they had to look at who they had backstage, and Tom Phillips was the man.
And he's done a pretty good job for me. I think Tom Phillips, he's been quite effective, but obviously that's the wonder of NXT, because a lot of people sort of forget that NXT is not just about developmental for the wrestlers. You've got creative, you've got production, you've got commentary, you've got referees. They're all learning to eventually move up into the main roster.
I believe that when SmackDown had the advantage was when they put Mick Foley as the Raw GM.
I'm a massive Mick Foley fan, but that just did not work. I don't know if it was Mick Foley or just Mick Foley and Stephanie together.
It was Mick Foley for a nostalgia experience of how good his original commissioner role was. But the scripts were different then. That was 2000. And that was when there was no PG era. And Mick could get away with a lot. He could have. I'm pretty sure he ad-libbed a lot of the stuff he was doing. But this day, these scripts have got, these are actors more than wrestlers now, so they have to follow the script word for word. So there was plenty of times where Mick would stumble across his words, and that was because he's trying to go off a script.
Well, even recently he's been just naming the wrong arenas, wasn't he?
But with Daniel Bryan working WWE scripts for as long as he's joined the company, he was more used to not getting it wrong really as much as Mick Foley. So he handled it well with Shane, and obviously Shane's return. If he'd stuck on Raw, again, another argument, Raw could have had more viewers.
I honestly think that a lot of people don't like Raw because of, I know she's not there at the moment, but the Stephanie factor it became so frustrating before WrestleMania. Just Stephanie, it's a thing that I never understood why they needed general managers, to be honest, because Stephanie and Shane were there for every single episode, and I think a lot of people, including myself, were just frustrated with the Stephanie and Mick relationship because all she did was put him down every single episode, and it just got boring to watch.
I don't know if anyone can verify who's watching the video, but Talking Smack has been a major contribution to SmackDown's Rise of the Phoenix in the way that, I don't know if it was before Raw had their After Talk show.
It was, yeah. It was about 6 months before Raw copied it.
Yeah, so that was the reason why Raw fell back, because with The Miz and his shoot-esque scripted rant, that garnered a lot of attention.
That was the first time I ever watched it, and I started watching it a lot after that.
And Daniel Bryan being very candid in his opinions. That's definitely what has projected SmackDown to where they are now, and they fully deserve it.
I sort of half agree, but I'm not ever too sure about this whole Raw's 3 hours sort of thing, because they've got more wrestlers, they've got more of everything. Surely it's the same whether you're doing a 1 hour show with 10 wrestlers or a 2 hour show with 20 wrestlers or a 3 hour show with 30 wrestlers. Surely you should be able to hold that quality up. They got the majority of the draft picks. They got the better draft picks because they got 2 for every one. So they've got more choice. They've got a much stronger and bigger roster, better tag teams. But for me, SmackDown seem to utilise their people better. Look at Jinder was never used as properly on Raw, and now he's a champion of SmackDown, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I think I think SmackDown do use the talent a lot better and fill the time a lot better.
Well, they give them more ring time. That's what it comes down to. With Raw having to fill out a 3 hour show, there's, as we always say, that the 15-minute startup where someone's on the mic and then whilst they're in the ring, your match is now or you're the main event. Yeah. That loses a lot of time. It's also the backstage. There's plenty of that compared to SmackDown, where they've got an hour short than Raw. So they have to get as much wrestling as they can to give a competition, because WWE's belief is they are their own competition. So whilst they're not clawing against your WCWs, your Impact Wrestling is a long gone memory. Ring of Honor, they're trying to purchase their libraries. You know, they are their own competition. So why not have it better than to have Raw and SmackDown vie for each other?
That's it. That's their biggest advantage, and it's also their biggest problem, is that they've got no competition, because they don't have to. It's not like the days when, obviously, the Attitude Era was the best time for wrestling because they had to put it all out on the line to get the viewers. Now they'll just give us what they want. The whole thing is that they know that not a lot of people want to see Jinder Mahal as a champion, but they know that it's worth a shit ton more money for them to do that than it would be not to, and they can afford to do it because there's no competition.
I believe that SmackDown definitely had the better end of the stick when it came to the shake-up.
Oh yeah, massive.
With getting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They haven't got a better tag division at the moment, with New Day still returning.
I think they probably would have returned by now. We've already looked ahead of time, but I think they're due to return any day now.
Yeah, SmackDown's tag team division is not very good at the moment, so we're hoping they can improve that in the next 3 months. The women's division, with Alexa Bliss, who was made by SmackDown, then got swapped to Raw, and all they really gained was Charlotte.
Tamina, a bit light.
Tamina, well, if you can really call her a draft pick, her dad basically died. The lawsuit's over. She can get back on television.
And Lana as well, who she's doing decent in NXT apparently, but I can't see her holding up, and they're a little bit light on talent in my opinion.
Definitely, but their main upper card, main card, AJ Styles, the house that he built.
Oh yeah.
Is the best thing that SmackDown did in that shake-up. They kept him.
Yeah, that was my biggest worry. I thought if Styles had gone, they would have been in some serious trouble, but they kept hold of him, and that's done him very well.
And I'm happy to say that hopefully we won't see the return of John Cena, because that was always the worry. for WWE
Yeah.
is that when he was going off to make his TV shows or his movies, that there's going to be a massive gap filled by John with his merchandise sales and his television time. But do you miss him?
Who's that?
Mr. John Cena.
I don't know who you're talking about.
There we go.
Yeah.
So with him being away, he's a long gone memory. He's going to have his wedding on some form of format for the network.
Natural Divas?
Total Divas.
That's the one,
or Total Bellas, whatever one you want to do. So I think SmackDown's in good hands. I think it will continue to outdraw Raw in the ratings. And if Raw, I still believe if they don't go to 2 hours, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Maybe they can, to cover that extra hour, maybe they can just do another show. Maybe they can put 205 Live on before Raw as a separate TV show and use that to cover their 3 hour slot. That might be a bit better, maybe. Or even NXT, but I think they want to keep NXT to a network only to drag people in, don't they, really?
Because that's what people don't understand is that WWE have the contracts with the television rights.
Yeah, they have to supply that 3 hours.
They cannot just one day say, right, we've had enough now. We can't really meet the demands that were set. And they've been doing it for quite a few years now with the 3 hour format. So they've just got, if there is an expiry on the contract, that might affect their TV deal. Yeah. So they've just got to read some humble pie and agree to the deal and struggle.
That's exactly the same with TNA situation where they're doing all these dodgy one night only pay-per-views. It's just because they have to do them. They don't want to do the extra pay-per-views, but they have to do them because they are contracted to give their TV companies 12 pay-per-views a year.
Well, with this, without being a spoiler, I believe there's only one way that WWE can revive Monday Night Raw. And it's a long shot. Is a NXT invasion. Because with Triple H being on Raw, you never really see him on SmackDown. I could be wrong.
No, you don't see him on SmackDown at all. He's not really on Raw either at the moment.
So
he's not showed up since Mania.
Vince has had a history of Raw really being the A show, so he wants that to garner the most ratings. I think they might just hit a panic button to say, you know what, they're going for the unexpected. It's a live show. There might just be a little NXT invasion. If it happens, then I'll be very happy to say I guessed it.
This whole Triple H stable room has been teased for a while, hasn't it? Really, with the likes of well, it was going to be, was it Kevin Owens and who was it before the pay per view? Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. Pete Dunne wasn't rumoured in there as well. The revival potentially, and it could happen. And I think the risk would be bringing up too many NXT guys in a short period of time and them sort of being diluted in it and going missing, which I think happened very much in the invasion, WCW invasion. People who you genuinely would have been excited to join WWE sort of just blended into the background because there was just so much going on at one time. It's possible. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
Well, that's just wishful thinking.
Yeah, I suppose so. Anyway, guys, what do you think about the SmackDown versus Raw situation at the moment? Who do you think is winning? I think at the moment SmackDown's ratings are higher than have been quite some time, and Raw, from what I've read, is the lowest ratings in 20 years, so they need to do something. What do you think they can do to improve it as well? Of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe, and we will see you again very, very soon for another episode of Shabby Talk. I've been Shabby Gamer.
I've been PJ Tovey.
And we'll see you very soon. Bye.
Bye.